The following content is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.
Hello, my name is Marina Sprocki, and I'm the host of Always Another Way podcast. I have a master's in professional counseling, and I am the IPPY Award-winning author of Stop Looking for a Husband, Find the Love of Your Life, and Nasty Divorce, A Kid's Eye View. I write positive divorce advice for the HuffPost, and I'm trained in clinical hypnosis. And this podcast is for out-of-the-box thinkers and for those who hear the call of hope and always another way. And if you're very rigid and set in your beliefs, this is probably not your cup of tea. However, you should note, taste can, and do change. And I just want to thank everyone again who listens to this Always Another Way podcast. Please remember to subscribe and rate because it will push us up the charts and more people can listen to all of my amazing guests. And today is no different. So, and what I want to talk about before I bring this guest on is just something a little personal for me. And I am not the only woman who has had this experience. In the United States, as a woman, the way you are most likely to be murdered is by your domestic partner, which is not good. There are 50% of people who are growing up in a household without a male role model. And then even being so, and also, you know, women that way too. Not all women are good role models either, but just, I'm talking about men because I got a guy on today. But I didn't see a lot of positive male role models. I was scared of men. I thought they were angry and some violent. And so I really, for most of my life, was just very fearful of men or see people do shady things and just was very mistrusting. It's just the way it is, but it's unfair because since then I have met so many super amazing, really, really good guys. And today I've got one on. So TJ Frank was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. He was a class of 1993 at the Lamplighter School, and he graduated from Southern Methodist University. After college, he was involved in music production and land development, but always had a passion for the service industry. In 2007, TJ and a lifelong friend opened Southpaws Grill, a healthy, fast casual eatery. And then TJ decided to get into real estate in 2017 because he wanted to create opportunities that were beyond his current endeavors. Architecture has always been a huge interest of his, and the potential creative use of spaces has recently become a passion. Moreover, having a natural love for interacting and helping others, real estate made perfect sense for his next career choice. A quote he lives by is never let good enough be good enough. There's always room for improvement and growth. Yep. And in his mind, there isn't anything more valuable in business than giving memorable and consistent service. Life is a process, and business is no different. Life away from work is spent with his beautiful wife and two amazingly cute kids. And if he gets any spare time, you can find him relaxing on the golf course, on the lake, or in Southern California. So welcome to the show, TJ.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad. And I met TJ a long time ago, and from a friend, and have been to his Southpaws since the beginning. It's a super, super good restaurant with multiple locations.
One of the first customers, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so good.
So grateful for your support.
Oh,
over the years.
thank you, because it's just like finding good, healthy stuff that's like real food that you like to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, and to not have to prepare it yourself every day or rely on someone else to do it for you. We wanted it to be convenient, quick, and easy for our customers and consistent. And so, yeah, it's been a ride. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And what's so cool is, well, I guess we'll start with like, what kind of role models did you have growing up to just become this person that you are?
Yeah, so I think for sure my dad has been probably number one. My mom passed away when I was 15. Obviously, she was everything in my life. And that was a really tough time, but my dad was
I
there
can
for me
imagine.
through all of it, and really was the reason that I'm sitting here today, him and my sister. So going through that tough time,
And that's really tough. I mean, 15,
yeah,
just to lose a mother and then 15, that's just like,
right.
ah,
Yeah,
such a young age.
yeah, it was
And right in that teenage years.
exactly. And it was, she died from ovarian cancer. So it wasn't anything that maybe happened, out of the blue type of thing. We knew that it was there. She had been in remission. She had been in treatment. She was getting better. And then, things just happened. So we dealt with it as a family. But my dad is, like I said, he's been there for me through everything, support and guidance, and really just been my best friend through it all. So I really owe it all to him. I'm still trying to fill his shoes to this day. But yeah, I really do owe it all to him though.
That's just super awesome that you had that, because it can
Yeah.
go a lot of different ways. When tragedy strikes
Right.
and people don't have skills, it can fall apart very easily, or people get angry and
Sure.
bitter about stuff. And so
Yeah. And of course we had our days and our months where,
you're sad.
we were a little quieter or, distant from each other. And that's just part of the grieving process. I don't think any of that was taken personally in
Yeah.
between any of our family members, but we all dealt with it in different ways. Some took longer than others, probably me the longest, but it's just one of those things that it made me who I am today. I understand that now. Obviously, it was a tough time, but forever grateful for the opportunity it gave me, though.
Yeah.
So
And then, so you have this good role model, you go to
Yeah.
college, you're doing your thing, and so in your music business, and I love it that you change things up
right,
too,
thanks.
and
Yeah.
change and grow. That is so cool.
Thank
that
you.
not to be, and sorry to say again, but some people think like, okay, if I go to school to be this, I have to like lock and load and just like
Right.
be it.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah. Versus if your interests change.
So I took 6.5 years to get through SMU.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I was a psychology major, literally just had no spot that I seemed to fit in. I tried, hotel side for a little bit, and I just couldn't seem to get in the door with anybody that could help me. And so, the college years in the early time were a little bit more difficult. I was doing music production, obviously wasn't making a whole lot of money doing that, probably spending more than I was making, honestly. But I loved it. Again, it was like something that I could wake up every day and feel the passion, and that's really big to me. After losing my mom, you realize how quickly it goes. And so to waste time with something that you don't love it seems silly to me.
Right.
I know we all have to do it in times of our lives to get by. But to get out of that rut and really do something that you truly are passionate about will change your life. And so even though the music, didn't seem a good fit at the time, the restaurants did. It was one of those things where I just started washing dishes at Southpaws, and we weren't making a whole lot of money at all in the beginning. And
Okay, but how did you, let's go back. How did you decide to start that? So you're like, did you see a need in it, or what made you think like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to get out and I think I know this?
Yeah, so I think me and my business partner Reza, when we opened up and through the expansion of it all, is really kind of honing in on something that we were providing that necessarily others weren't at the time, and especially 13 years ago, to do fresh squeezed juices and smoothies and things like that. That was very new to Dallas. Of course, California and places like that are always a little bit more forward thinking when it comes to kind of that healthy spin and pushing that on the consumer. So Dallas was a little bit, behind on the wagon on that, but we felt like people needed it and they wanted it. And granted, it took a little bit for them to realize, it's going to cost a little bit more than like a Jamba Juice or a Smoothie King. But there's no syrups or sugars or crazy stuff that people put in these things that you have no idea what they are.
Yeah.
So from the open kitchen concept, so you can literally come into the bar and watch us make the food, we wanted to be fully transparent. And I think that the consumer, then and even now, are just hesitant what happens behind the closed doors, what happens in the kitchen, right? And so we know, especially now with people with all kinds of different dietary restrictions and, workout regimens and things like that, we really wanted to provide something that we could establish consistency, but make it customized to people of, any type. So, yeah, it was just one of those things that, like anything, you find something that either needs improvement or there's a void for in the marketplace, and you make it your own, you make it better, and you just kind of run with it. So that's kind of what we did.
I love that. And then I
And
also
got
like
lucky too, obviously.
that
But
you went with that transparency, because that also shows your moral integrity too.
thanks.
That like,
Yeah.
because I have a thing like, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to hide.
Right. That's exactly right.
And that's
Yeah,
the truth with anybody. You
for
got,
sure.
unless it's like maybe a Christmas present, that's a different
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
or whatever.
And I'm
but
the worst at holding like any surprise ever. I'm like, here, you just take it. I can't even do it anymore. It's like burning a hole in my pocket.
yeah, so I mean, but that's so cool. And then the second thing is like your customer service, which starts in with everybody just like friendly and knowing that. Did you
Right.
know that that's like one of the hugest keys, besides
Right.
having good quality food, to keeping and maintaining business?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely it's always been a struggle training, right? And to show people that work for you and your employees how to express that passion, even though they might not be a owner, right? But we're all a team and we're all building this thing together. So it's you give people the right tools and training. And anybody can start to say my pleasure, and when someone walks in, have a smile and say, how's your day, what can I do to help? It's the little things in life. Anybody can never, good enough is never good enough, right? So it's like anybody can open up a restaurant and try to be successful, with the best food in the world. But like you said, if the customer service is lacking, if the faces aren't there to show for the food, then that's a problem on the return side. They might love the food, but are they going to come back as quickly as if somebody just greets them with, the kindest, sweetest heart ever? And just be real with people. Like, there's no reason to be fake, or we all have bad days or whatever, but it's one of those things where we should be grateful for the opportunity that this person can pay for your living and my living. And so we should do everything in our power to treat them like family, and so they come back.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that. And it's very evident when you go to any
Thank you.
any Southpaws, you can for sure feel that vibe.
thank you so much.
Like all around, next to the deliciousness.
Yeah, for sure.
And then even though it sounds all like rosy, were there any times where you had like struggles or thinking like, oh no,
Sure.
or doubts like, I hope this goes,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Always. I mean, when we first opened, we were doing $400 a day. I mean, it was literally me and Reza, another chef, and one other guy that was helping with deliveries and stuff. And so it was doing 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, just because we couldn't afford any more employees. And I wasn't even paying myself for the first few months. Paying the other team members to stay, keep them happy was more important to me than paying myself at the time, and losing them and having to retrain and find somebody that worked for me. I'm very picky with my employees, just because
which is smart.
Well,
Environment's everything.
and a lot of them have
Yeah.
been with me since we've opened, right? I mean, I have guys that have been with me for 13 years. I have other guys that have been with me for 7, and women. And so it's one of those things that it's their family, it's their house too. So for me to be picky with the vibe and who has the passion for the job is really important for me to make sure that the entire family is happy.
Yeah.
Because it can be one person that kind of throws a wrench into it. Everyone gets kind of bummed or upset. And then just the quality of life and living goes down in the workplace. And that's the one thing we try to avoid.
Yeah, and that's so good that you recognize that, because that is true. One toxic
Yeah.
person can spoil the stew.
Yeah, and
for
especially
everybody.
for like an open concept with an open kitchen, you really can't have that, right? I mean, you have people and guests in there and dining, and they can feel that.
Yeah.
Right. They can instantly sense that something's wrong. There's been fighting or whatever. So again, if it's moving people around, shifting around, however we need to do it to make sure that we are consistent on that basis, then I'm okay with that.
Cool. And also a testament that you have people working for you for so long.
Right.
That is a sure testament that they like you.
Yeah, thank you. I
And
hope
like
so.
working there
I
too.
like them.
For sure. Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
they make me look really good. I do have the best team, and honestly, I wouldn't had any of the success that we have if it weren't for a lot of our managers and staff members that have been with us, that people come to see every day. When me and Reza first opened, it was flattering because people were coming back and forth because they wanted to talk and hang out, and it was great. But now seeing that with my employees now and the customers, and they don't even know me, or they're like, who's this, fat guy with a bald head? And they're like so engaged with my employees, and that makes my heart so full.
Yeah.
Because they know like their kid's name, and they're like giving water to their dog outside, and the things that I did that they saw me do training, and to see that, transfer over, from the other side has been such a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So super nice.
Yeah, it's been great.
So super nice.
Yeah.
What else did I want to ask?
For sure.
Oh, yes. Did you ever want to quit it or no?
Yeah, always. I think with every single career choice path that I've decided to do to this date, I've wanted to quit at some point, and probably multiple times. I think that's completely normal for us. I would be betting that there's athletes out there that you would think that they would never do anything else in the world but play ball or whatever. And you ask them the same question, I guarantee you 99% are probably going to tell you the same answer. I mean, it's tough. Mm-hmm. It's life is tough. It's not necessarily about how great you are succeeding in life or how great your business is doing. Life will just beat you up. It's a tough game, right? And it's definitely, you got to have a thick coat of skin and be ready to adapt. And move and go quick if you need to, and so I think for me, for music, it will always be there. That was tough for me just financially, and then the restaurants, there's always going to be dips and dives, right? I mean, now that we have delivery and Uber and Postmates and all these people are so, that is just the biggest craze right now. I can pay $4 and get food. When they first came here, people were like, I'm not paying $4 for delivery. That's crazy.
Wait, I'm not getting out of my bed. $4, yeah.
Now people are just like, that's just part of the expense now, right? That's just normal for people. And so that has changed the dynamic significantly in the restaurant industry, whereas before in Southpaws and Preston Center, people would have 10, 15, maybe 20 options to choose from in a walking distance, right? Well, now they have like 200, 300 to choose from because they're on an app and they can just get it in their office.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I didn't even think about it like that.
So it creates a lot more competition. Mm-hmm. And as you know, people in Dallas, they always want the new, they always want something different, and so really staying top of mind can be difficult at times. So that's the biggest challenge, that we've run into. Luckily, we were established before all these Ubers and everything else, that we have such a great, fan base like yourself, that the true and tried that have come through since day one. And that's really been our huge foundation, our support throughout the years. Mm-hmm. The delivery's been great, and that's just kind of the icing on the cake. But yeah, it's hell. Yeah. I literally some days, and I'm doing it now. I'm doing with the new restaurant. I didn't.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your new restaurant for a second while we're still on the restaurant.
Yeah. So I think I'm like literally crazy. But we had an opportunity that I was presented to open up a fast casual fresh mix. And so I had a couple partners, kind of approach me. They're more in line with bars and nightclubs and that type of setting right now, and they haven't really delved into the fast casual space. So they reached out to see if I'd be willing to help. We met. They gave me the info and everything. It sounded awesome, and I was like, this is great. I love the concept. And so they're like, cool, you have 13 weeks to open. And I was like, oh, fuck. So from making a menu to tasting to training and hiring, build out, it was literally the craziest thing I've ever done.
Wow. That's amazing. Like 13 weeks. Wow.
It was crazy. But doing those 15-hour days again, sacrifice for a couple months, already have a great team in place. I'm able to step away now at lunch rush and I feel okay. I'm still kind of like checking my watch every now and again because I get nervous. Laura's like, is that a Yelp review? No. Okay. So like, that's the hardest thing for me is to pull back, right? Because I was so involved. I was there literally sleeping there basically. And to step away is the hardest part for me, but I know they have it.
Yeah.
It's just like
you care.
OCD. Right? But yeah, so Toluca Organic, it's again, Fresh Max. We have a vegan twist on it. So all the dishes actually come out vegan, vegetarian based. You pick your cheese and your protein. So if you wanted to stay vegan, you can. If you want to go to carnivore, you can do that as well. I have so many friends that are like, one is vegetarian, one eats meat. They always have trouble deciding where to go, or like, it's like, this is crazy.
And
why
that's
can
true.
we not offer something for everybody? Like, if you don't want animal, totally fine. We'll get you covered. And you want some chicken? Okay, cool. We're all happy.
You like dairy? Yeah. Everybody.
I mean, it seems silly. And especially for like Mexican food, we all love Mexican food. It seems like all the really good spots you have to go and sit down, and you're like getting waited on and you're like, I don't want to do this. I only have 30 minutes. So that's why, again, we wanted to be the fast casual player in that, where we actually have self-serve kiosks, has pictures of the entire menu. You can go customize. You don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to. Take a number, sit down. We'll bring your food out in 10 minutes, if not quicker. And so it's been really cool. It's been a crazy adventure. I never, ever, ever thought I would be doing another restaurant right now in lieu of real estate, but here I am. The timing worked out perfect. And I'm always one of those guys that just it would just beat me up. I would just like, what if this, and so I just said, screw it. I'll sleep later, My kids are young enough where I don't feel like super, super guilty. I mean, granted, I hate being away for that long in a day. And I miss, putting them to bed. That's probably like the hardest thing for me is, I'm like trying to FaceTime.
Let's talk about what a good family guy you are,
oh, thanks.
TJ.
Don't make me tear up though, because it's gonna happen.
Oh, well, that's okay. I mean, that's good. But I mean, seriously, like, just to seg for a second, like, this just like beautiful wife, these beautiful kids,
Thank you
and you
so
just
much.
do like just so much and are just so kind.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It means the world.
Yeah.
I literally just want to do exactly what my dad did for me. It was such a loving household growing up, and to put that back into my family is literally number one priority. At times it may seem like work is number one, but I can guarantee you the family is. I will drop literally everything if I had to right now.
I could know that about you for sure.
There is no hang up on, being the best, more successful, making the most money. I could care less about any of that. I literally just do it for security for my family, period. I don't want magazine articles. I don't want my name on a cover. I don't want a billboard. I don't need any of that. I'm not Chef TJ. I'm not restaurateur TJ. I'm just TJ. I just want to be looked at as a hard worker, someone that loves life and is taking the opportunity at the fullest. But first and foremost, being the family man. And I feel like that is literally my duty in life now that I have these two kids that literally look, identical to us. Is weird. We're like aliens, I swear. But it's so fulfilling to see that, wake up and get snuggles in the morning. And that's what drives me to say, okay, am I going to be home by 10 o'clock tonight? I hope so. But that hug and that kiss and hearing daddy, I'm good.
Yeah.
At least for a little bit until I need a call or text or like send a picture or do that, right? And luckily mom is the best. I would not have what I have at the house, that loving structure that we have without her. I literally owe it all to her. She is the backbone of our family. The support is unreal from the business side. Of course, do we miss each other at times? Fuck yeah, it like sucks, right? And it turns into like, well, how do you even get to the romantic side when you get home and I'm like covered in guacamole, right? And she's been like having a kid scream in her ear for 10 hours straight. And then it's like, let's just wind down and pass out, right?
Just the fact that you recognize that right there,
Right.
like dude among dudes,
Thanks.
to
Thank
know
you.
that like, oh wait, she wasn't just home doing something, but all these things, like
I know it's a
that's
struggle, right?
just super impressive to be like
Thanks.
empathetic
Yeah.
enough to be like, to just see the whole picture.
Right. And sometimes I'm blinded by it too, right? And I get a little demanding or hangry or whatever it is, you know, and then I'm like, sorry, I was, wrong as always.
I mean, nobody's perfect and everybody gonna do this. That's just normal,
but it's communication though, right? At the end of the day, like I tell Shorty, that's my wife, we call her Shorty.
and comparatively, she is a lot shorter than you.
She is very, well, she's not very short. But
You're just tall.
She's my sweetheart. But but like I said, she's just been so strong, such a huge player in that, and literally I owe it all to her for the support for my kids. I definitely couldn't do restaurant and real estate without her. There's just no way. She pushes me, she drives me. The times that I feel like I want to quit and fail, she doesn't let me. And so it's one of those things where I don't have a choice, and I like that. She puts it back on me in a loving way, and it's not pressured, right? It's just like, babe,
Support.
you've done this, like you can. This is nothing for you. This, like, I have to give a speech tonight at our Christmas party in front of 300 people. This type of setting is very new to me. I used to like literally dread doing any type of camera work or speeches and this type of thing. And this morning she's like, hey, did you write your speech? I was like, yeah. It's like, I just don't know though. And she's like, you always do this. And then what happens? Like, everything's fine and you do great. And so it's the little things in that I can push that to the side. I don't have to worry about that all day.
And that makes a difference to have somebody supportive at
yeah.
home that is just on your
Huge.
back and encouraging too.
Oh, it's the biggest thing ever.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the biggest thing ever. It keeps me sane. Thank God I need it.
Yeah. And speaking of, like, let's just dive in. So now you're like, okay, restaurants, like, let's throw some real estate on that fire.
Yeah. So that was crazy. So 2 years ago, I decided to get my license. And a good friend of mine who I've known for years, Grayson Johns, he approached me and said, hey, would you ever want to come work with Rogers Healy? And, he's my broker. And I saw him on social media, he was selling all these crazy houses. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I've been in Dallas my whole life. I love it here. I don't plan on ever moving. And why not? It's the passion of the service industry in a whole nother format, right? It's even more personal. You're really going into like, heavy asset. And so the emotion is there. There can be a lot of stress. So for me, in the beginning, it seemed comfortable because fast casual is, we call it organized chaos, right? And so
Right.
having people shout at you, yell at you, getting angry and still serving with the smile and that type of thing is really what I've been doing, for all these years. And so it just made sense to me to go in on that side. I love working with people. And to get the opportunity to work with some family and friends and referrals and stuff has been incredible. I think, from the restaurant side, we're getting so dense as far as restaurants in Dallas, right? And so, as blessed as we are and how strong everything is with Southpaws and Toluca, I needed something a little bit more stable for my family for the long-term play. And for me, the day that my wife told me that she was pregnant with our first was pretty much that day that I decided, shit, I really need to get going. And so that's when I jumped into real estate to really go, and that will be there for me for however long I want to do it. Now, will Southpaws be there? I hope so, but I can't bank on that. I can't bank on those two restaurants, succeeding for the next 30 years. And, everything is fine and dandy and we can sell it. And then we go, retire on some beach.
Sounds great.
It sounds amazing, right? But in theory, I think it was just more important to me to, like my dad did, really take the time now before the kids are super, getting into their older years where I can sacrifice a little bit.
Right.
And then, kind of pan back here in a couple of years. And so that's where the real estate came from. It was without Grayson, without my wife, and of course Roger's my broker, I wouldn't be with the success that we've had today. It literally blew me away from the jump, and it was a little bit of luck, but again, I was putting in the work. I was literally working 7 days a week. Did over 100 open houses last year for my first year. And so I was literally saying yes to everything. When people would ask me, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Will you go show me properties? It was always, I'll make time. Let's make it work. And I think that really kind of fed the energy and momentum that I've received thus far. And so it's been crazy. It's been a lot of fun now.
Well, so can I tell you, because I've been watching you on that real estate,
Yeah.
and you do like super hustle on it and just
you.
do so well. And I think put in like more effort than probably anybody else
Thank you
that
so
I've
much.
seen. But also a testament, and going back to Southpaws, is that you are not afraid to do the work, no matter your financial position or anything
Right.
else. Wash dishes, and that is, I think, what separates people that are not only just uber successful, but know all facets of stuff.
Sure.
Because you don't think you're better than anybody else, which is
No,
just like,
that's silly.
you know.
And I hate that too, right? I mean,
because nobody is, but just, and you could like, and some people, can, I got this, but you're just
it is
like,
unfortunate.
just so humble and just so, but genuine, like hard work, like you've got the facts to back it up.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, whatever it takes, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to get it done right, you do it yourself. That's what I was always told. So, from painting a client's siding white, before we sold it, or going out and mowing their lawn when they're out of town, walk their dog while the client is showing the property, like that's what we're there for. It's a stressful situation. And I think a lot of realtors kind of take it lightly. They see the glitz and glam on TV, how fun it could be to sell all these cool places, and they don't realize how emotional, it's the largest purchase for people,
Yeah.
right? So,
And sometimes people have lived their whole lives in a place, or it's the place they're going to live their lives.
right, they don't know where they're going to go next, but they need to sell. It's scary, right? And so you really have to be the type that can adapt to that client, regardless of how your day is going or whatever is in the back of your mind, right? Because at the end of the day, their problems are a lot more significant at the time than anything that you have going on, because that's why they hired you.
Yeah.
And so for us to provide that type of service, just like Southpaws, was absolutely, crucial to me. And luckily, Grayson is probably more OCD than I am. And that's why we work so well together, is the communication is always there. We're up and at it early in the morning, working late at night. And really, I was blessed enough to find somebody like him that was on that same path and had that same vision for that play, for, the long-term play. It's going to take a lot of time and work up front, and then we could really build something special. And I think with even 2 years, we've surprised ourselves.
You've got like the best realtor in D Magazine.
Thank you. Yeah.
So that's
top producer,
super
best realtor.
kick-ass,
Yeah.
because in
Thank you.
Dallas, there are people that are like lifers in here.
Yeah, for sure. And granted, I was so blessed and grateful for the opportunity, with the trust that all my clients gave us, from the jump. But yeah, we did over $14 million in sales our first year. We currently have almost $16 million in listings this year. And so put a couple restaurants in the mix and two crazy loving kids.
TJ's
I'm
busy.
Good. I'm good. I'm good right now. So, I had somebody reach out the other day that want, business opportunity. I'm like, I just need to breathe for a second. And on the side, I've gotten involved back at Lamplighter, where I went my elementary school. That was really big for my mother, for me and my sister to go there. Yeah. So we lived in Plano, and for her to drive 45 minutes, an hour in traffic,
it's a Montessori
or whatever,
school.
right?
Yeah, I love that.
And so it was just very important that we go from pre-K to fourth grade. That's the years that they go. I think that school, more than ESD or SMU, impacted me more than anything in my life. From a young age. It blew me away. I still remember teachers, and you know, they have programs with chickens, and the kids go get the eggs, and then they learn how to sell them at carpool line, and then they take that money and they, it's like a whole business structure, right, for these kids.
I think it breeds entrepreneurs. Montessori does.
I agree.
It's like, and people think it's just like loosey goosey, but it's all coordinated on the back end for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
It's all, the thought that goes into it is crazy. And now that I'm seeing it, so I got involved with them about 4 or 5 years ago. I jumped back on at the alumni council as one of the members there. I'm now president. I got conned in as the years went on. They're like, just be secretary. I was like, fine. I'm like, just be vice president. I was like, oh, I know where this is going. So this is my second year as president of the alumni. I'm now on the board at Lamplighter as well. For me, that's a huge give back. My mom did that for me. I feel like it's needed for me to go back and give those kids what they need, and the love and the support from the alumni side. We have so much power, walking into a room and telling them my story. The eyes, they're so, like, it makes me so happy to see that. And just like when we were in school and you get a guest speaker, you always love that. Like, you don't want to hear the teacher talk. You want to hear somebody new.
Right, and you see real life, like what people can do, and it's cool.
And
then
the
this person went to my school?
Yeah.
I could do it.
And then they can see that, right? Like, I'm here, and you were here, right? And then they make that connection. You're right. So that's been really, really nice to see and be involved with that. Still haven't made any decisions if my kids are going to go there. Honestly, I just feel like it's not even up to us. We have a couple options that we've been looking at, and I think at this time it's just let the professionals tell us what we need to do, right? If it's a good fit, it's a good fit. If not, then we'll go find somewhere that is.
Yeah, because it's not for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, Montessori's not for everybody.
So, and my son, he has some, we're in speech therapy. He had some delayed speech. He's been doing great. But just for me to think, you're going to Lamplighter because I went there, well, that's a little crazy.
And I love it that you do that.
Thank you.
mean, because some parents are just like, I did this as a family business and you're going to run it, and not give the children their choice.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Their own people.
Well, you're just doing a disservice to them, and especially at that age. I mean,
And it's not going to shake out well in the end.
no, if they don't have that support from the jump, and then we're going to go years on years on years with something that's lacking for them, and frustration gets into play, right? We've all been in that class where you literally feel like the dumbest person there. You're like, shit, I'm literally so unprepared, and I feel like I do not belong in here. Right?
Lots of times I feel that way.
And that's like the worst feeling, right? Because you're like, God, why does everybody get it and I don't? Like, I'm still behind. I'm putting in the work. I'm still behind. And that's not fair to put any kid in that position.
Everybody's a different learner.
100%.
Yeah, and my son goes to Shelton and has ADD, a little dyslexia, and then game-changing, switching schools for him.
Right.
Like absolutely game-changing, confidence building, everything.
See, and we're looking at Shelton as well.
It's a wonderful school.
It blew me away. We went for the first time a couple weeks ago. They asked, what do we think, XYZ? And I'm like, yeah, let's do the evaluation. Why wouldn't we? I mean, I don't see why people wouldn't do the evaluation just to see what they say. I mean, those people, you need that information. How are you? I don't know. I know like how to make a smoothie.
Yeah.
How am I going to tell you if my son is a good fit for your school?
And if you want the best for them, and really early intervention with children on anything that's like, because everybody does not learn the same, regardless whatever's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, or subject matter.
Yeah.
I mean. So yeah, it's one of those things as a new parent that you kind of jump into, and you're like, oh yeah, we got to do school, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, this is like a lot. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot goes into it. But luckily, like I said, Shorty has been unreal with that, and she's been so helpful to get those kids to the appropriate evaluations and extra speech therapy lessons and little gym and all that stuff. So I know she hadn't sent me a picture today, and I'm upset, so I'm about to text her. But yeah, it's been awesome though. for sure.
Well, on that, and kind of like segue in, so like if there was somebody like listening, like a young man that just doesn't have that positive
Sure.
male role model, like what good advice would you give to anybody out there? I mean, and anybody too, but like
Yeah.
specifically that, because I
So,
think a lot of them are
for
like,
sure.
you're a guy, you know.
I think going back to the passion, right? Like what drives you? What do you like to do? What motivates you? If you can pair yourself up with another business, another friends or family, something in that light where you guys can have that type of bond, right? Even if it's going to work at a restaurant, let's say. I met a lot of people, including Reza, that taught me everything I know today about that. And so, granted, my dad was everything for me. He really didn't teach me the restaurant side, even though he was in the restaurant side. I never really was allowed in that side during my younger ages.
Yeah.
It was just like, you don't want to do it. And I was like, okay. So I think it's important, just, get involved with the community, get involved, with something, again, that drives passion, and you'll find somebody that you can click with. I promise you. You just have to talk to people. If you don't go out and talk to people, you're never going to be able to grow as a person. You can't just stay, isolated and try to figure life out. That's not, you shouldn't have to do that. There's people out here that want to help, that would love to help. And it's just finding people like me or anybody else that has that attitude for a mentor, right? I mean, even if it's just like, hey, if you just need to call me, or if you just want to go grab a bite, there's still, friends that reach out every now and again that might be in a little bit of dismay. And it's like, hey, let's pause life real quick and fix what's going on. I mean, you're not asking a lot. It takes a little bit of time, and it'll affect them for the rest of their life. Yeah. So I think it's important to talk to people, just to get out. I know some people are shy. I was really shy growing up. I hated it. Sparking conversation always seemed weird. They're like elevator talk. You're like, I hate elevators, right? It's like the worst. And I feel like I can spark a conversation with anybody, but elevators, I'm just like.
And how did you change that from being shy to like saying, okay, I got to get out there?
So I think that it just came to a point where once I got in the business, I saw how much more successful the people that were outgoing, that were passionate, that you could see that passion just oozing out of their pores. And so it made me jealous. Like, I wanted that. I was like, why? They're so much more advanced than I am, and XYZ. It's really not that. It's just practice, right? Like the speeches, the cameras, all this stuff. I think there was a point where I realized I really didn't have a choice. Unless you want to do something great and not give that back to the community in a form of like a conversation like this or anything, I think, what a missed opportunity. So I think regardless, there's always going to be stuff we don't like. But I do think that it's a duty for a lot of the entrepreneurs out there to give advice, to offer that help. Even though we're not hiring people at times, I'll say, here's my number. Just call me if you're let me try to put you in line with somebody that I might know. So again, it's, just going out of the way. All it takes is a little bit extra time. And it's amazing the response that you'll get. Even with Southpaws and our customers, it's not like we're doing something completely different. We just give that extra little bit that people will remember. And that kind of separates us.
I love that.
Thanks.
And well, and it's very, very evident by all of your actions. And then kind of before we wrap up, like, let's tell everybody like all the different places they can find you.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously with the real estate, Rogers Healy and Associates is my broker. I'm on all social media platforms, and you can find me tjfrankrealestate.com. Has some properties, contact information, all that stuff. As far as restaurants, Southpaws, I'm literally all over downtown, Preston Center, and uptown. I bounce back and forth, but honestly, within the recent days, weeks, I live at Toluca, just trying to get that off and running and really get everything trained so I can step out and let the team do what they do. So that's If it's not there, it's at the house, but you're not allowed to contact me there.
Yeah. And I will put all of the restaurants and the TJ Frank real estate in the show notes.
Thank
and really,
you.
it's so nice just to have like such a wonderful, amazing man who has a like high integrity and does things. And you're going to be like such a great role model, not just for your family and for your children, but for everybody out there. And
Thank you so much.
for all of you listening, you know that there's always another way.